Oh, it's fine.
This meeting is being recorded, just so you know.
It's unusual.
Right, everyone, I am muting you. There we go. Silence fell. Good morning. It's absolutely lovely to see you all this morning. Welcome back from your Joel's, Rob. You look very refreshed. So, I perhaps need to explain myself because there was something of a cryptic comment in the message that went out saying that it is kind of history in the making this morning. You are going to witness something that has not taken place for in excess of 40 years. We can't exactly date when it last happened. But I said to Lorna, have I ever ... And she thought about it. In all the time we've known each other, she said, well, no, you haven't. So the last time I had done ... was back in school. And I think it was secondary school when I last did it. And this morning, Lorna said to me, didn't you ever do this with your mum? And I said, well, no, but if I did, it was probably before secondary school. So the secondary school event probably dates it. So we're probably, let's say I was 13. So we're talking 42 years since this event last occurred. So you are witnessing history in the making this morning. And this is being recorded. So it's been recorded for posterity. It will live in the annals. This morning, I'm baking cakes.
Hi, Adele, by the way.
There's one. This is all being done this morning, and we have a very reliable witness to say that this was all done by my fair hand. So here we go. Look. This is before they've gone in the oven, mind you. Don't worry. Yeah, this is all preparatory. So that's one. And there's the second tray, and you'll notice that there's one missing because that bit of mixture finished up on my shoe. And there they are. So I'm now going to energise the oven. You are going to witness these cakes being baked this morning. This is what's going to happen, okay? What temperature, darling?
Well, you had the recipe.
Well, I know I did, but I have to say, I've really felt for Lorna this morning. It must have been a little bit like teaching a chimp to bake cakes. A young chimp who doesn't like to follow instructions and likes to make mess. And that's exactly what happened.
180.
180. 180. Right, the oven's on. So you're going to witness these cakes being baked this morning. This is the first time that this has happened in 42 years. Isn't that momentous? I'll tell you, do you know what the ridiculous thing is? I felt so nervous doing the thing. Good grief, I couldn't believe it. So anyway, there you go. So now, by way of explanation, I'm going to show you a picture to see if we can't understand why it is I am baking cakes this morning. So, does anyone know, undo your microphone, who this is?
Oh, was he on Bake Off?
He certainly was. Anybody?
Was he the Scottish one?
You have 1 point for his first name and 5 points for both names because nobody ever knows their second name. No?
No.
We're shaking
Peter.
the head. Peter, it is Peter. So this guy is called Peter Sawkins.
Oh, yeah.
And he was on the Great British Bake Off, you're absolutely right. And he is our inspiration for this morning's service, and you'll see why a little bit later on, because we've got a video to show this morning, which is an interview with Peter from Bake Off. Peter, if you watch the show, he's only a young lad, 20 odd, I think.
Something like that.
Lives in Edinburgh and has been go to a Methodist church all his life. And he is a committed Christian, and so this interview is about his faith and his approach to the program and how he dealt with all that as far as his faith is concerned. So you're going to see that video a little bit later. To kick us off, he is talking very much about evangelism. So that is the dreaded E word, which I would like to discuss now. So, open forum, safe space. What I'd like you to do is wave your hand and offer the first thoughts that come to your head when you hear the word evangelism. Take a couple of minutes, and then if you'd like to wave and open up the microphone and let us know what your thoughts are. What are the thoughts that come into your head when you hear the word evangelism?
Oh, no.
Bob? Oh, he's muted.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Right, thank you. That's an excellent reflection. Thank you very much, Mark. I can see lots of nods. You've got lots of people agreeing with you. Sandra?
The good news.
Say that again, sorry.
Spread the good news.
Spread the good news. Perfect. Thank you very much. We have oh no and spread the good news. We could make a really long sentence out of this, possibly. Adrian?
The cold tram sheds in Leeds when I went to see Billy Graham by satellite. It was freezing.
And you're clearly emotionally scarred from that occasion.
Yes.
Anybody else? Lorna?
I was going to say...
Go on,
I went to see Billy Graham.
You did see Billy Graham, Joyce, did you?
Just made in ordinary way.
Yeah.
What, in person?
Yeah, must have been.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Rob was saying something.
Right, Rob?
I was going to say Billy Graham as well. When I was a student 40 years ago, we went to Amsterdam when he held an international conference on evangelism. And we were the stewards, us young theological students.
Right. Lorna?
Inadequate.
Inadequate?
Yeah.
Oh, my darling. Wow.
It just, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? What are your personal thoughts about evangelism when you hear the word?
That's me that's inadequate. Not
And I know that's what you're saying, yeah. Anybody else?
Misunderstood.
Misunderstood? Okay.
Misunderstood.
Right. Yes, Ron.
A breath of fresh air occasionally.
Oh, wow. Nice one. I like it.
Can you do that?
I will. And obviously flunked out and is coming back in again. Any other thoughts or feelings? Okay, that's good. Fine, and thank you. Any more? Please throw them into the chat. I'm a bit funny with it, to be fair, probably because I've been burned by some overbearing examples of it, if that's the right thing to say. And I feel that the church in places goes a little bit over the top on the importance of converting other people to Christianity rather than the importance of spreading love. And for me, that feels very definitely the way it should be, about spreading love first and foremost, and in some cases, full stop. And, you know, let Jesus take care of the rest in some ways. And I learned something this week, which I found quite amazing. And that was, so you'll be familiar with these two expressions from the Bible. One is the greatest commandment, when the people ask Jesus, which is the greatest commandment? And that's when he famously says, you love God, love yourself. We know that stuff, yeah? It's all about love. It's just about loving others as you love yourself. That's the greatest commandment. And the other expression is the Great Commission, which comes at the end of Matthew's Gospel. And it's a little subtitle in the Gospel saying the Great Commission, which is where he says, go and make disciples of all nations, and I will be with you till the end of the age. And the interesting thing that I found out was the expression the Great Commission is not in the Bible. It was added in around about the 17th century. It was not part of the original translation of the Bible, whereas the greatest commandment absolutely was. It was something that was asked of Jesus, and he answered the question. And I just wonder if that emphasis has perhaps been swayed by this expression. The Great Commission says this is what you've got to do, and people latch onto that and say the first and foremost thing we've got to do is convert the world to Christianity. And I kind of have never, and definitely still don't, see it like that. I think the greatest challenge we face is to feel love and share love. But anyway, that we'll get into a little bit more of that debate as this morning unfolds. Right. My oven is not quite at temperature.
Right.
It's
Thing
almost
is,
there.
it might have been clicked off. You see.
Ah, right, okay, right,
But I'll
okay.
keep an eye on it.
Morning, Doreen and Keith.
Morning.
So, we are going to watch this interview. The interview with Peter Sawkins is by a guy called Matt Finch, who is a Methodist minister. He's involved in, he is, I think, at a rather high level in terms of church planting and into the evangelism and growth and all that department of the Methodist Church. So you'll see Matt, and there's just Matt and Peter in this interview. The interview is about 10 minutes long. But stick with it and just watch the whole thing. I watched it, found it incredibly engaging, and I think it just raises some ideas and questions which I shall talk about afterwards. But I'm going to use this video as an integral part of my historic cake baking this morning, because as I'm going to put the cakes in the oven now, and my learned teacher this morning says, check them after 10 minutes. So when the video's finished...
Because our oven's not very good.
Yeah. We'll wait till the video... I'll put them in as the video starts, and then when the video finishes, just bear with me, you will see... Unfortunately, you'll see my back view near the oven, and I will just check those cakes and turn them round like a true professional, just after the interview finishes, and then I shall come back to you, and we shall pick up the discussion. Okay. So, I'm going to start the video and then settle back and enjoy this. It really is a lovely little video. And here goes. Hopefully this will work.
It's great for me to be talking today about faith and mental health and well-being. It's a joy to be talking to someone that some of you might know. So I'm going to ask this person to introduce themselves, who they are and why we're chatting today.
Good to be speaking to you, Matthew. I'm Peter Sawkins. Last year I was on the Great British Bake Off, and I also attend City of Edinburgh Methodist Church in Edinburgh.
Have you been inundated with requests to make cakes for coffee mornings and things, or have they not been on because of COVID?
I imagine that if it wasn't a COVID time, I'd be having quite a few more cake requests. So maybe I've been let off lightly because of the restrictions.
And how long have you been a part of the church in Edinburgh?
So I've been there my whole life. I was baptized there. My parents have taken me since I was 0 right through to now. I'm 20, so yeah, a long time.
Well, it's good to know that the church has looked after you and been there for you. So today we're reflecting a little bit about mental health, and I thought it'd be good for us to talk about how perhaps faith and spirituality help folks with their mental health and well-being. And both of us have a connection to Calm. I'm a trustee of the amazing charity Calm, campaign against living miserably. But you've also recently been made an ambassador, haven't you? So what does that feel like?
Yeah, it's really nice. I'm running Edinburgh Virtual Marathon with a group of friends, and we're raising a bit of money for CAM, and also I get to use my social channels now to spread a bit of the message and link people to the charity as well. So it's good fun. It's a really nice thing to be able to do.
What is it about your faith that helps you and perhaps makes you want to be involved in Calm and raise awareness of mental health issues?
I think we think about God-given gifts and talents and how we can use them to sort of further our mission and our faith. And this year I've been given this kind of increased platform. Lots of people watch the show, and now I have this big social media platform as well. And I think it's really important that I use it for some good things and to spread God's word and support messages and movements that are consistent with my faith. I'm very much still at the start of figuring this out. It's still a very new thing for me to have this kind of platform and position, but it's something that I think I need to continue focusing on. Supporting CAM and doing this and spreading their messages, I think, is really consistent with this, and it's something that I'm really happy to be doing. So I'm just going to try continuing in that light.
Sounds like you're doing a great job so far. At what point did kind of you realise your faith was a part of things? Have you always was it just something in the background? Did you tell people about it?
I've always been pretty open about it. In school, chatting with friends, I've never shied away from it. Always engaging in engaging in discussion in any class, not just RE in school. And then at university now, when I meet people, I'm really happy to talk openly about my faith, and I love hearing from other people about what their faith and belief systems are as well. And I think just sort of engaging in normal conversation and talking about our beliefs in just normal conversation is a great thing to do, and a great way to get to know people better and to share a bit of why we believe in God.
Is there one thing about your faith that really helps you? Maybe a verse or a moment or a person that you think, oh wow, my faith sets me up to be able to be healthy in terms of my mental health and well-being?
I think probably I'll go for a theme of faith. Maybe it's also the time of year. We're in spring, Easter's just passed. I think the theme that I always come back to, my dad has always sort of led me on as well, is about hope, and the hope that our faith brings. I think in terms of mental health, I kind of distinguish hope and optimism in a way. Optimism's a bit more kind of it can flee and it can end, but I think hope for me, it allows this space that we can experience sadness, we can experience anxiety, troubles with our mental health, but that hope always remains there even when we go through tough times, and the hope helps us to keep moving forward and looking for God. So I think that's probably the thing that helps me in relation to my faith and mental health.
It's really profound. It's really, really lovely to hear that faith's so deeply rooted in who you are and what you are. It's not something you pull off the shelf. It's just a part of Peter. Thanks. That's really lovely. So, a lot of people have commented to me. I'm sure there's been a lot of Methodists talking about you and what a lovely person you are. What a lovely, joyful person you are. And it seems that your faith just shines from you. And as well as being a Methodist pin-up, which you are, I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. I think there's a lot of people that watched the Bake Off and thought, oh, he's just really lovely. There's something about that guy. And I think for us as Christians, we see that faith in Jesus just shines from you. So what would your advice be for kind of letting the joy of God shine from you and through your character like it does to the people around you?
I mean, it's a really lovely and warming thing to hear. That's very kind. Probably quite an important thing, I think, to note as well, is that the way that people see me has been on this highlight reel, this edited TV program. So it doesn't show, my failures and the bad sides of my character, which exist and that we try to work to avoid as much as it can and to fix. But there's an element of it that it needs to be remembered that it is a highlight reel and this is not the full picture. However, it's really lovely to hear. And before going on the show, I was so excited to be a part of the Bake Off. It's a really exciting thing. And I wrote down a list of what my duty was for being on the show, what I was going to try and show in my character whilst being on the show. And I've not actually spoken to anyone else about this, but there was 4 things that I wrote down of what is my duty. And I think it kind of answers this question a little bit, I think. They were to bring joy, to have fun, to be kind, and to try my best. And so I wrote those down before going on the show, and that made me put conscious effort into doing these things and to try to bring out these characteristics and share them. And I think that's kind of part of it, is that it's not necessarily always the easiest thing to try and share the joy of God in our daily lives, and we do have to put effort into it by focusing on these things and putting conscious work and effort into it. And then I think as a result of that, when we do put in this effort, I think it gets reflected from other people, and then it becomes really easy for us to feed off that energy and that joy that radiates off them as well. So it's probably a very roundabout way of answering this question anyway, but putting in some conscious effort to try and share the joy of God, and then you feed it back from other people.
Thank you, that's amazing. And thanks for sharing those 4 things with us. I feel like I'm really privileged that you're sharing those with us, and it's just wonderful advice to model all those things in our lives. So thank you so much for that kind of intentional stepping into situations to be Jesus, to be the love of God, to allow that joy to shine from you in those places. It's been wonderful to chat with you, Peter. I've got one last question. I was wondering, did you ever pray? Did you ever kneel at the oven for a cake to actually work? Was there a moment where you prayed, please God, save this cake?
I do believe that God has slightly bigger things on his plate, maybe than my cake sinking. Certainly, I prayed to try and make sure that I was modeling out positive attributes and good, and just being a good person on the show and sharing the joy of God on the show. But I don't think that I didn't ever pray for this cake to not fall in the oven.
It's been wonderful to share with you, Peter. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're so busy with all sorts of things, doing a degree as well as writing a book and being hassled by other people for an interview. But thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to watching you grow and shine that joyful faith in all the places and situations you find yourself in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Matthew.
Now, I don't know about you, but I just found that so positive and so encouraging and just really pleasant and easy to listen to. And I want to pick up on some of the things that Peter raised in the interview. But first things first, I need to check me cakes. Lorna, please witness. So I'm checking them.
Yeah, so
And turning
turn them,
around.
yeah, completely. And they are going to need longer.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Right, spinning around. Quickly! Ah! Right. How much longer now?
Well, another 5 minutes.
So that was 10. It said 16 to... So if I set check them in 5.
20,
Check them in 5.
Yeah.
Alexa, can you set an alarm for 5 minutes, please?
5 minutes, starting now.
Thank you.
And picture in the recipe said 15 to 20.
Right, so we're checking again in 5. So whatever we're up to, we'll have to stop. I'm so nervous. This is ridiculous. I'm shaking.
I have to say, we made a pizza yesterday for tea, and one side was definitely more cooked than the other. So it's.
Oh yeah, she said this morning. I'm whipping away there like a child of Delia Smith, and she says, you know, sometimes they don't work. I said, you what? I'm going through all this for the cakes to not work. Dear me. Anyway, so Alexa's going to go off when. Oh, sorry. Oh, right. Shh. Don't need you. Thank you. That thing's going to go off in 5 minutes, so I'll stop then and pull the cakes out and have a check. Okay. In the meantime, so for me, when I watched that interview, and there were a few things that I just particularly liked and pulled out, but there are 3 that I just want to reflect on, and one, the last one of which will provide us with today's Easy Challenge, because we like a challenge in Easy Church, don't we? The first one was this concept of the highlight reel. I was so taken with this, the fact that what Peter was saying was, what we all saw on the Bake Off was the very edited, cleaned up version of him, and we didn't see any of his bad bits. And I love this image, this mental image of him chucking stuff around the kitchen, but we didn't see that because they kept it out of the edit. But this concept of the highlight reel, the polished version that people see, I think seriously translates into our lives as well. One of the big issues and criticisms about social media is that the image that you portray on Facebook is a manufactured image, and it's the one that you want people to see. But to what extent does that relate to the real you? And you don't just have to be a Facebook user for that to be the case, do you? You know, our deployment of the expression "I'm fine" when we're clearly not is the same thing. We're putting out an image, we're trying to tell the world what we are and what we're like and how things are for us, but we edit it and we clean it up. And we've talked often, for years now, one would say, in some of our services about the whole business of authenticity and integrity, and the Brené Brown stuff about being open and honest and sharing with each other and that sense of connection. And it's all so very, very powerful and very positive. But I think our tendency is to clean up our image before the world sees it, and trying to protect that as well. And often the things we wear, the things we say, the way we act, it's all perhaps, and I just want to throw that out there as something of an image that is being portrayed. For us, this has a very dark side to it. It's been over 2 years now since my brother committed suicide, and the powerful thing for us was that the image that family portrayed to the world was one that was very polished and very clean and very happy and very gleeful and everything okay. And then you learn when that happens that clearly wasn't the case. And so, you know, there is a dangerous and a dark side to this, and it can lead to all sorts of pressures. So that concept of the highlight reel, I just think, is something that is just worth bearing in mind and examining ourselves and being aware of any perhaps image that we're trying to portray. The second point was the last one, and I loved it, the whole thing about prayer. So did you ever kneel at the oven and pray that the cake was going to... Now, I've been tempted this morning, but I haven't. I've resisted the temptation because Peter's absolutely right. God's got bigger things to worry about than whether someone's cakes are going to work or not. And I loved his answer. I thought it was so, so powerful. No, I didn't pray for a cake. I instead prayed that I would be energized and that I could be positive and that I could be kind and that I could treat people with respect. And for me, that's a model of prayer that is so powerful and so effective and so important. And often we hit little moments when I see these glimpses of pleas for prayer, for things to happen, for certain events to take place, and I really do have just a bit of a difficulty with it. I just don't think it's the way that these things work. What? Please pause proceedings. Alexa has just sounded. Alexa, stop. Thank you. I have to be nice to Alexa. Lorna makes me be nice to Alexa. Right, how we're looking? Oh man. Bit longer.
The bottom was definitely, the top ones might be done. Yeah, they're done.
They're done. 2 minutes.
I'll just test them, yeah.
Alexa, can you set an alarm for 2 minutes, please? This is stressful. Do you know what? It's going to be another 42 years before I do it again. Right, I'm back in the room. Are we checking? Oh, good. I'm glad you're here, love.
It's coming out clean, so.
Oh, that's good. It looks like they're working.
You didn't finish reading the recipe. We said put them on a wire rack.
Lorna, I've never finished reading a recipe or instructions in my life. I'm not going to start now, love. Right, where was I? Oh, yes, prayer. Something happened, and most of you will be aware that Lorna's been looking after Margaret from Pontefract, who died 2 or 3 weeks ago. And in the latter stages of Margaret's life, when she really was struggling and trying to, the nurses were trying to balance the pain and how she was dying and all that kind of stuff. And somebody that we'd called, the nurses had been called about 2 in the morning, and someone had said, well, let's pray that the nurses will come quickly. And I just thought, okay, I mean, I didn't have a problem with them at all. I could completely get the sentiment, but I just didn't go with it, because if we were going to pray that the nurses were going to come quicker than they were going to do to Margaret, then that perhaps meant they were going to leave someone else uncared for, and I don't know that that was the right way around doing things. And it's just an example of this as well, and I just keep seeing those, and I think prayer is an incredibly powerful thing. But I just have this resistance with praying that God may make certain practical things happen, like, please can I have a parking space, and please can I, I just really do struggle with that a little bit. But this is me just sharing ideas. Please feel free to wave furiously at the screen and unmute your microphone if you care to object or say something different. The third point, and this is one, bear with me. Alexa, stop. Oh, look at those. Oh, blimey. Done.
I think so.
Surely.
Yeah.
Yes! Oh, come on. Look at these, for goodness sake. Oh. I wish Zoom had smell-o-vision. I really, because, oh my word, they smell lovely. Thank you, love.
I'd say not actually use the right trays.
What?
The bun trays are shallower than
You
that.
tell me that now.
No, I didn't see, but turn the oven on.
The oven's off, we're done. Feel like I've accomplished something. Wow. Okay, I'm back in the room. The third point, that when Matt asked him about how he approached being on the show, and it reminded me of other reality TV show things where things have not gone well, and you could argue maybe people didn't prepare as well as Peter Sawkins did, but he went with a very specific plan, and he had these 4 things, like 4 mantras that he was going to remind himself of in all his time on the show, the weeks that he was on the show. Bring joy, have fun, be kind, and try my best. And the sense that he would remind himself of these targets and mantras day on day as he was living his life out on the show, because you can get carried away with these things. We've seen lots of evidence of that on the TV, where reality TV doesn't work very well for people and how they are with themselves. And for him then to go on and say something which I particularly agree with, this idea that if we behave in this way, it gets reflected in other people and starts a chain reaction. That is so powerful and so true. It's like children learn what they see in their parents, don't they? They learn what they see. You don't have to say anything. They pick it up as they go along. And I think there is this thing about, if you intentionally, which he did, if you intentionally go to live in a certain way and behave in a certain way, very, very subtly and very powerfully, other people start to pick up on that and reflect it back. And for me, that's a great way in which we can move the kingdom forward, if we all can just, in a little way, act a little bit better and a little bit differently in circumstances. So what I would like us to do, straight on the back of that, is just take a few minutes to have a think about what your mantras may be. Now, he came up with 4. Now, I struggle to remember. If I'm doing a shopping list and she gets past 2 things, I need to write it down. So I don't know how good I would be at remembering 4 things. But think about perhaps how you might want to live out this next week. We could start with that. Or if you're about to embark on something in particular, like a project or something with other people, or you are in a new friendship group or something, think about the way in which you would like to approach something, some kind of, and as I say, it could very easily be next week. So the next 7 days, how do you want to intentionally live the next 7 days? And maybe you can come up with your own mantras about how you might daily remind yourself of it in a very similar way that Peter did. I just think it can be nothing but positive to think about things like that, and then either you stick them on your fridge, or you have them in your purse, or you write them backwards on your forehead so you see them when you look in the mirror. However you may choose to do it, what would your mantras be? And I'd be stunned if they were the same as his, but they may be. You may want to adopt one or more of the things that Peter came up with. He said, bring joy, have fun, be kind, and try my best. And that was for this very specific project of being on this TV show. So why can we all think about the next week, the next 7 days, think about what we're going to be doing, think about how we would like to intentionally live those 7 days. What are the mantras by which we would like to live? And I'm going to sing a song while you think, and it couldn't be more of a cheesy link, because I'm going to sing a song called Sing a Song, which is the Carpenters' song, Sing a Song, because in all of this, don't forget who you are. That sounds like a quote from The Lion King, doesn't it? Don't forget who you are, because the only way that these mantras can be lived is if they are true to you and your own personal self and your own authenticity. It's no good trying to adopt somebody else's mantra. It has to mean something to you. It has to reflect you. It has to be livable by you. So what are the ways in which you may want to, this week, give yourself a mantra or two or more to remind yourself as we go through this week? So I'll put the words up if you want to sing along, but don't feel obliged if you are thinking about your mantras. Sing a song, sing out loud, sing out strong, sing of good things, not bad, sing of happy, not sad, sing a song, make it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry that it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing a song, sing a song, let the world sing along, sing of love that could be, sing for you and for me, sing a song, make it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry that it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing a song, just sing a song, just sing a song, with absolutely zero pressure to do so, would anybody care to share their mantras? With no pressure at all. You can. Oh, how strange! I don't understand that. Oh, right. I'm back in the room, I think. Yes, right. With no pressure at all, and I mean that because this is. I asked you to do a very personal thing there. If anybody would like to share any of their mantras, please do. But there is no pressure to do so. That wouldn't be fair.
Well, I will.
Go on then.
And so mine are. It's a recent thing that I've thought about mantras and things, and they're kind of based on what I've not always felt about myself, and that I don't always feel these things now, but it's what I try, and I think I can give more if I believe in these things. So that it is that I am loved, I am loving, I am grateful, and I am enough.
Well said, that girl.
But yeah.
Well said, that girl. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Bob.
Yeah, I made a New Year's resolution, not 3 mantras, just one this year, that I put my brain in gear before I open my mouth.
So, how's that going, Bob? Wait a minute. How's that going, Hazel?
It is going well. It is going well, and I have a conscience sat at the left-hand side of me.
How beautiful.
And it reminded me at the assembly, I was going to crack a joke at the assembly on the other evening, and I didn't, because if you remember, Rob Cotton said he planted Zach's house in...
yeah, I did.
In Cheshire, right? Northwich. Now, I was going to ask him if it planted it on solid ground or salt. Not on sand, because Norwich, if you go to Northwich, you'll see the houses that are thing because of the brine pumping and all of a sudden, it's the place where all the salt comes from, Northwich. And they allow houses, it's worse than mining subsidence. And I was going to ask him if it, planted it on solid ground. I thought, no, keep your mouth shut.
Learning.
Excellent. Anybody else care to share? Yes, Adrian.
Well, the 4 things that I try to do every day. The first one is try not to offend anybody, because my sense of humour tends to be a bit weird at times. The second is try to help somebody if possible throughout the day. The third one is try and show friendship to somebody if they're looking forlorn or not in the right place. And the fourth one is to be happy, because if you're happy, it cheers other people up. Because if you're not happy, everybody walks at the other side of the road, tries to get away from you.
That's correct.
So those are the 4 things that I try to do.
That's absolutely wonderful, thank you. And you're right, that last point, it's the same thing about this infectiousness and the chain reaction and the reflections. It's the way we work. It's the way we work, and that's really beautiful, yeah. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to share? Wonderful. Thank you very, very much indeed, all of you. Yeah, well, let us know how the week goes.
Hello, Sonny.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, let us know how it goes. Okay, so I've this isn't quite a mantra, but I made a decision earlier on when this revelation came to me that I'd not baked for over 40 years. That whilst you were going to witness the cakes being baked, but it would be so unfair to leave it there, wouldn't it? So during the next week, you will have a cake delivered. Now, you could argue this is a little unfair of me inflicting these cakes on you because they could taste absolutely awful. But give them a sample, by all means. Let us know how you get on, and if you are ill after them, I don't want to know. You can keep that to yourself. I'm not interested. So I made a commitment before the service started that what I was going to do over the next few days before they go off is bring you all a cake. So actually looking at them, I think there's a fair difference between the ones that were in the top tray and the ones that were in the bottom. So it might be a bit of good luck. I think there's a variability between the two trays. Let's put it that way.
I think you put different amounts of.
Yeah, I think I had no idea what I was doing. That's what I think. So you're going to get a cake. So I shall deliver that at some point, and I'll weatherproof the enclosure in case you're not in, and I'll leave it at the door. So you might just get a surprise. Be careful when you're coming out your back door, because you might step on it and slip. So over the next few days, everyone that I can see is going to receive one of these cakes, and I hope they're lovely. But I am taking no responsibility for it if they are not. Well, I suppose I'm the only one that can. Mind you, you were my teacher. So yeah, thank you for that, Rob. Me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're only as good as the chimp that you educate. Thank you very much, everyone. I really enjoyed that being with you this morning. Would you all please like to unmute, and we shall share the grace together before we disappear. Thank you all. So, may the grace
of our Lord Jesus Christ,
the love of God,
And the love of God,
fellowship
of the Holy Spirit, be with us all. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, everyone.
You.
Bye.
Bye.
See you all soon. Very soon, in fact. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.